After what felt like a long time, I'm finally back with the next harsh review. As you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be talking about Mario Party 2, the one that everybody seems to just absolutely love. If you're new to my harsh reviews, then the criteria for the game is going to be the minigames, boards, items, and the extra modes that the game has. At the end of the video, we will have a tier list to show where this game is compared to all of the other games that I have already reviewed, which there will be a link to the playlist in the description. But with all that out of the way, let us begin the review for Mario Party 2. The first thing that we'll be talking about is the minigames. Mario Party 2 has 65 total minigames, and each of them can get up to 1 point depending on whether or not I just like them or not. However, instead of just saying the amount that I like in total this time, we're gonna go by the different types of minigames and talk about the ones that I like and dislike in each. First off, we have the 4-player minigames. There are 21 in total, and there are some really amazing ones like Hexagon Heat, this game's version of Bombs Away, which I think we can all agree is just 10 times better than Mario Party 1's version, and of course, Shell Shocked. Seriously, I don't know why they changed that. The 4-player minigames are honestly just really solid all around, and the only ones that I don't care for are Honeycomb Havoc because it's just not fun to play at all, and Bumper Balls because I would much rather bump my own balls against the desk as hard as I can than play this time and time and time again and get draws time and time and time again. Also, before I potentially get flamed for this, yes, I do enjoy Sneak and Snore. It's not easy, but I do enjoy it. So far we have 19 out of 21 points. Next up, we have the 1 versus 3 minigames. There are 11 of these with standouts like Look Away and Move to the Music. Again, just a bunch of fun ones, with the only one that I dislike being Bomb Barrage. Most of the time when you try to throw a bomb in this game, you almost have zero control of how far that thing is going. You think it's gonna go a certain distance, and it just flies off the map. So the 1v3 section is gonna be getting 10 out of 11 points. Next up, we have the 2v2 minigames. Here we have 12 minigames with, again, some really good ones like Bobsled Run, Balloon Burst, and Destruction Duet. There are definitely a bunch of minigames that came back from 1, but a good amount of them are just as good as they were in 1, if not upgraded in other cases. This section, I only have one bad minigame again, and it's Speed Hockey. This is a minigame that I used to enjoy, but after playing it again, I just don't know. It just doesn't have that thing that made me enjoy it as I thought I did back in the day. So for the 2v2s, we're gonna give it 11 out of 12 points. Next up, we have the battle minigames, which we have 8. The battle minigames include absolute classics like Facelift and Crazy Cutters returning from 1, and new ones like Bowser's Big Blast and Day at the Races. Guaranteed, those last two are luck-based minigames, but they're still fun nonetheless. For this section though, there are 2 minigames that I do dislike, being Bumper Balloon Cars and Raking 'em In. Bumper Balloon Cars mechanics can just be funky at times, and Raking 'em In is, again, just not fun. So for this section, we have 6 out of 8. And finally, we're going to be talking about the item, duel, and special minigames as a total thing here together. With the item and duel minigames being specific for their boards, they need to be enjoyable, otherwise they could potentially hinder the boards themselves. When it comes to the duel and item minigames, I honestly enjoy all of them except for the Bowser Land ones. I'm just not a fan of the Bowser slots and don't really give a damn when it comes to Rock Paper Mario. Lastly, we have the special minigame of Driver's Ed, which yet again I just don't give a damn about. So for this section, we have 10 out of 13 points, which gives us a grand total for the minigame section of 56 out of 65 points. Alright, now we're going to be talking about the boards. Each board can earn up to 5 points, so let's just get into it. First up, we have Pirate Land. Pirate Land is a really fun board that connects 3 different islands with bridges that have happening spaces that send you and everyone else on those specific bridges back to the start if somebody lands on them. The board also has thwomps that you can pay to get around specific parts of the board faster, and has 3 spots where Sushi the Shark will show up and take you to the next specified spot that is connected to those spaces for a fee of 5 coins. You just need to remember though that you don't really have the choice, he's going to take you either way. Other than that, the atmosphere of the board is amazing, but that's just basically most boards in this game, so I'm going to be giving Pirate Land a 4 out of 5. Next up, we have Western Land. The main gimmick of this board is that there is a train that circles around the map when either somebody lands on a happening space or pays the train when it's at the station that the player is at. You just gotta remember that when you're at that station, it can go forward or backwards one. You gotta remember that. One thing that I find very charming about the board is the fact that there is a milk station at the top of the board that can call a good old-fashioned hootenanny. Once you call that hootenanny, everybody comes to that space and they get drunk off their ass with milk. And funny enough, the board looks big, but it doesn't necessarily feel big. And it also has 2 boos, which I'm always down for boards having more than just 1 boo on it. But yeah, we have another really good board, so Western Land is going to be getting 4 out of 5 as well. Moving on, next we have Spaceland. Obviously, I have talked about this board in my Mario Party Superstars Harsh review. This is an instance where I enjoy the board more in Superstars than I do here. After playing on both recently, I like the fact that the one in Superstars doesn't push everyone that lands on the happening space or is in the way of the car once the police is active into the line of sight for the big laser. This game's board forces everybody onto the path that's going towards the center, whereas the Superstars version only pushes you to the one space into the laser, which gives you just a much better chance of being able to get out of the way of losing all of your coins. However, the one thing that I do prefer on this version is that the chance times aren't in one specific location on the board, which could only be accessed by a key. That is definitely one thing that I prefer this version to Superstars version. Other than that, it's just not as good as the Superstars version, so this version of Spaceland is going to be getting a 3.5 out of 5. Alright, next we have everybody's quote-unquote favorite board for Mario Party 2, and that is Mystery Land. But yeah, if I'm just being straight up honest with you all, this board is just not great at all. The one thing I'll give it is that there have been times that I've played on it where it has been fun. On the board, the happening spaces transfer you from island to island in a clockwise formation. However, you can go from some of the islands to others with the use of a key or by using the bomb platforms on either the bottom right or top left islands. One thing I'll say though is that if you do use those platforms, there is a tiny chance that you could land yourself in a completely separate island that you can only get off with rolling the right number or numbers. So realistically, you could go through most of this board without collecting a lot of stars, getting to boo, or getting many, if any, items. So yeah, it's just a complete mixed bag of a board. So I'm going to be giving Mystery Land a 2 out of 5. Now it's time to talk about Horror Land. I have already gushed an absolute crap ton about this board, and even in Mario Party 2's iteration, it's just fucking fantastic. The one thing I will give this board over the Superstars version is that there is actually a reason to go to the right path on the furthest left side of the board, because there's actually a star on that path, unlike the Superstars version. Also, we have to mention that this board was the first ever to incorporate the day-night cycle, which of course is one of the main gimmicks in a game that, you know, we'll talk about at a later date. But we gotta admit, the day-night cycle is amazing and the aesthetics are just perfect. So if you know what I gave this board in Superstars, you know what I'm gonna give it now. Horrorland is gonna get that perfect 5 out of 5. And now we're gonna be going to the final board, which is Bowser Land. I don't know if this is necessarily a controversial take or not, but this is probably my favorite Bowser board of the series. The fact that the banks give out the money instead of taking your coins when you pass it is a really good counter to the normal bank mechanic. The festival that happens every 5 turns though is something that I'm more neutral on, because it could completely screw you over, or it just won't affect you at all for the entire game. However, I will say that one thing that I do not like about it is that if you get an item at the shop that's on the top, it picks the item for you and makes you pay whatever specific money that it wants you to pay. So yeah, for me, it is the best Bowser board, but it's just kind of around the middle. So I'm going to be giving Bowser Land a 3 out of 5. But yeah, if we want to add up all of the boards, the board section will be getting 21.5 out of 30 total points. Next up, we're going to be talking about the items. This game was the first game to give us the true items that we could purchase and use and not have to worry about getting them completely at random like we did in 1. Those items in the game are the Mushroom, Skeleton Key, Plunder Chest, Dueling Glove, Warp Block, Golden Mushroom, and Magic Lamp, which those are all accessible in either the shop or an item minigame. And then we have the Boo Bell, Bowser Suit, and Bowser Bomb, which are only accessible through item minigames. For the first game that we have the true items, the list of them is pretty solid. The one thing that I will say that I'm not the biggest fan of is the fact that we can only get one item, but again, that's something that's fixed right away in the next game. So if you get a key, you're gonna get stuck with it until you get to a door, which is kinda lame. However, I will say that it doesn't really hurt the score a lot, and I find it amazing that if you do happen to get the Bowser Bomb, it makes the Koopa Kid transform into Bowser and steals the money of whoever he passes. I fucking love that. So the Mario Party 2 items will be getting a total score of 8.5 out of 10. Now the last thing that we're going to be talking about is the extra modes and just everything else that you can kind of do and see in the game. This section will be getting a max of 20 points. The first thing that I want to talk about is how you unlock the minigames. You can get them by spending the coins that you make during the boards, and one thing I gotta say is I love the fact that in this game, unlike in 1, you can get all of the coins and stars from every single player, even if you're just playing alone. You don't have to put every character to be a human at the end. So that's a big thing that helped a lot in this game compared to 1. Once you buy a specific amount of minigames, the minigame stadium will unlock, which you can play on the stadium that was in Mario Party 1, or you can play to win up to either 3, 5, or 7 minigames. Once you unlock all of the 4-player 1 vs 3 and 2 vs 2 minigames, you will then unlock the minigame coaster, and I need to say that I wish you didn't need to. One thing that can be annoying is when you need to find, just one more mini game to unlock it, and you have to play the boards like 5 to 10, maybe sometimes 15 more times because, you like using your own footage instead of using other people's footage. No particular reasons. However, aside from that, the minigame coaster is just genuinely really fun. You can play it on easy, medium, or the hard mode. That'll allow you to play either the first 3 worlds, 6 worlds, or the entire thing. And one last thing that I need to talk about is the fact that this is the only game that has costumes for the characters to wear for all of the different boards. Now, everybody loves this, and yeah, I'm in that category. I like it too. Now, I will say that it's not something that makes me love this game more than the rest or hate this game more than the rest, but it's just a great addition to add to the charm of the game. So with all of that being said, this section will be getting 18 out of 20 points. Now it's time to see what the game will get in total. Out of the total 125 points the game can get, it's going to be getting 104, which once brought down to a score out of 10 is an 8.3 out of 10. The game is really good and is loved by many for good reason. Yeah, it has a bad board or two and has some things that I personally don't like compared to other Mario parties, but it still holds up to a lot of the other ones very well. Now we're going to be going to the tier list where you can see all of the games that I've currently reviewed and where they are. And Mario Party 2 is going to be going into B tier right alongside of Mario Party Superstars. Well, that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, a like and a sub would be absolutely appreciated. And if you do like to see maybe some live content, you can always go check out my Twitch channel, which will be in the description below. And maybe you can come hang out with the community in our Discord as well. Either way, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.